Hello and welcome to Mostly Minnesota Music Podcast Edition. I'm Ann Tracy. I'm here with my co-host.
Heather Baker.
Yeah, we are excited this morning. Happy New Year. We are excited to wish Happy New Year to Ellen Stanley, otherwise known as Mother Banjo, otherwise known as host of Women Folk. And we're here to talk a little bit about all of that. Welcome.
Thank you. It's so great to see you. Great way to kick off the new year.
Yeah, super fun. Well, and we've talked to you before, but just that doesn't mean everybody's listened to every podcast we've done. So just tell us a little bit about all the different hats that you do wear.
Well, I play music under the name Mother Banjo. So I perform around town, record albums with solo and with my band, folk Americana gospel stuff. And then I also, as you mentioned, host a radio show, Women Folk Radio. I've been doing that for almost 20 years, and it broadcasts locally in Minnesota on KFAI, but also it's now syndicated and is carried on other stations across the country. So that's a lot of fun. We play the best in women's folk and Americana music, do a lot of artist interviews, which is why it's fun to be here because it's a lot less work to just be here and chat and not have to do anything else. So I appreciate what you all are doing. And how many interviews you guys are able to do. And then I also promote other people's music. I have my own PR company, EFS Publicity, and I work with a lot of Minnesota artists, not exclusively, but since this is where I am and I love this scene, I love to be able to promote local music of all stripes. So that's a little bit of what I do around town.
That's great. That's great. And you have got a couple series of shows that are coming up at the 331, and I got a sneak peek just the other night. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, so there's one I ran into you on Thursday at the Women Folk concert series, which we started this past fall, monthly series where we showcase some of our local women's talent, a lot of artists that I featured on the show. And that's been the last Thursday of every month. Although in the new year, we are moving it to Mondays. So it's going to be the last Monday of the month and it will be early. It will be 6 to 7:30 p.m. So right before the regular Rowe Family Singers residency at 8. So it will be a nice folk acoustic night. So I'm really excited about that. And it will feature one act, and again, no cover like all the shows at the 331. And the first one kicking things off is Annie Mac. So I'm pretty stoked about that. So that will be the last Monday of January. But then the other thing I have going on in January is the Mother Banjo Band is actually going to fill in for the Rowe Family Singers for the month of January. They're taking a much deserved break. And so they're taking the month off, and then I'll be joining with Mother Banjo and friends. So it's going to be a rotating cast of guests and band members joining me. And that will be every Monday in January from 8 to, 9:30 or so.
That's
I was gonna say,
fantastic.
I'm excited to see who you are gonna have up on stage with you, like a little gift every week, since you are so layered of your musical friends. I'm like, how the heck are you gonna like? Is there gonna be any patrons? It's just gonna be and friends.
Yeah. Yeah, that is the tough part because there's so many people, of course, I'd love to bring. But we are limited by both time because it's a busy time of year. And obviously, COVID things have kept some people either at home or just more cautious. So that kind of affects things. But I can definitely tell you some members, regular members of the Mother Banjo Band will be making appearances, not everyone every week. So it'll be various folks rotating in with that. And then I'll have some songwriter friends join me. Um, mainly doing solo stuff, maybe joining in with my band, maybe doing stuff together. But I figure this is kind of an opportunity since there isn't a ton of time. I'm not bringing in like whole other bands just because we don't really have the time to change over a whole band. So it's mainly I'm going to be inviting songwriter friends to who I haven't played with in a while. So that's pretty much what I've decided is I'm like, oh, I haven't played with that person either ever or for a long time. People that I like and many of the people who you've had on your show. So for this first Monday, we're going to be we're going to be joined with by Emily Havoc. Who I love, and I don't know if she's been on Mostly Minnesota, but she's one of my favorite local songwriters. So you should have her on. She just put out a new single and video that was featured on the Current, and she's so good. We played together, but it's been a long time. I would say the last time we played together would have been before I had my son, just after I put out my last record. So spring of 2019, we played together in Duluth. But it's been a long time, so I'm excited to get to play with her. So like she's playing, Ted Hanashevitz is playing, who believe it or not, he and I have never played together, even though we've been friends for a long time. And I love him dearly, so that'll be fun. My husband Ben Cookfeltz, who's been on the show, who's obviously a great songwriter and a member of the Mother Banjo Band. We don't get to play together very often because we have a young child at home, but he'll be joining in for at least one of the shows as well. Um, and Taylor James Donsky. So a bunch of different people who I just like, who I haven't gotten to play with recently. So it's going to be a little kind of cozy family reunion.
Well, and nice for you to get a chance to play the new album. You know,
Yeah,
you had it when it was a busy time for you, and
yeah.
then the darn world shut down.
It did kind of feel like that in a weird way. I was just saying this to someone recently. It felt like um, I was actually uniquely prepared for the pandemic and the shutdown because I had had my baby and a month early, and so I was, and I was used to being at home. I'd taken a break from gigs, and I was just going out less, obviously having a newborn, and then I was just starting to play out when the shutdown happened, which was, of course, disappointing as it was for all of us, but at least like I was kind of used to not going out. So, but of course, this summer has been so much fun to get to go out and play in front of audiences again, and the fall's been surprisingly busy. I didn't set up a lot of stuff, but things kept rolling in, so I kept playing. Um, but yeah, and I know this is a weird time because with this new wave of COVID, so we're playing everything by ear. We're just going to do everything as safely as we can, and we are going to live stream some of the shows. So for folks who either can't come out, either it's a snowy night or or they have kids they have to take care of, or they just don't feel comfortable going out. We're going to be live streaming some of those on the Mother Banjo Facebook page. So folks can follow us on the socials for info about that. But I'm excited to be able to bring a little taste of the Mother Banjo Band to more folks who maybe yeah, feel like they can't go out, especially in January.
I think that's so smart because, and I think January is so great for residencies in Minnesota.
Yeah,
But COVID be damned, it's 50-50 January in Minnesota.
right. Exactly.
Something's going to
And
get canceled.
something, well, that's the thing. I feel like, and the pandemic's only made that more so, is that like I think we've all just come to realize that it's like, you know, plans are plans, but they don't always happen the way we expect, or and that's okay. I think we've all are learning to roll with the punches a little bit more, like, okay, I'm not feeling well, so I'm going to stay home, and I'm checking in with the people who are scheduled to play every week and making sure everyone feels good about it, and if they don't, we'll bring someone else in. So that's why I expect there'll be a lot of surprises, some of them planned on my end and some maybe not, and that's okay. We're just gonna, no matter what, there'll be great music happening, so that's all that really matters.
I was gonna say sometimes when it's unplanned, it feels more special because you're
Mhm.
not anticipating whatever. You're just like, wow, this was amazing. So I feel like good things can come out of that.
I
When
very
when I
much
was
agree.
listening to your album, the song Together All Alone, I was like, when did she write this? This sounds like perfect.
Yeah, and that's actually one of the covers on the record, and I love that
Oh,
song so much. And it did kind of become a theme song for me. The band's always loved playing it. It's written by Robin and Linda Williams, on their holiday album, even though it's really not holiday-ish. It's really just a wintertime love song about staying home and staying cozy and with your loved one, which I think is the best thing about wintertime. If you have someone to cuddle with, whether it's a cat or a human, doesn't matter. um, I do feel like that song became even more poignant during this last year. Certainly, I played it in almost every live stream, even in the warmer months. It felt like, yeah, this is a song that we can all relate to. Like, not everything about being home is bad, right? I think we've all rediscovered maybe some of the things that are positives about that. And so, yeah, whether you're at home watching a live stream or getting cozy in the bar with your friends to hear live music. I think, again, sharing that with people in whatever way you can, I think is really valuable. And I think we've all sort of relearned that and maybe have to keep relearning that, that how important that connection is, in whatever way we can make it.
That's
But
sort of oh, sorry, the theme for that album, right? Just
Mhm.
the connectivity and what's,
Yeah, it's funny looking back because, of course, when you're making a record, you have some ideas maybe of what it's about and why the songs are being put together on the same record. But I didn't realize that that was one of the themes, I think, until later. But now looking back, because it's been a couple years, I feel like, oh yeah, that is kind of one of the themes. And maybe I was in my, nesting phase because I wrote it and recorded it before I had my son. But I feel like there is kind of a lot of those themes about home and staying connected with people. So I think that was all percolating in the back of my mind, even though I didn't really, might not have realized it at the time. I think that's one of the interesting things about music and songwriting is how it can change, even if it's a song you wrote or whether it's a cover that you sing regularly. The songs change over time. They're organic beings, and they transform and bend, and you see new things come out of them at different times in your life. Which is so it's funny because I host this regular show, as you know. I think last time I was on, we were talking about the back catalog listening party,
Yeah.
which is the another thing hat I wear. I host this weekly musical happy hour on YouTube with my friend Anthony Ehrig, and we invite artists to talk about old records, which is kind of what we're doing right now. And it's funny because I don't really talk about my own records, which is one of the reasons we started the show, right? Is like people always ask about your new record and not necessarily ask about old records. And it is funny because now that we're doing that, I'm thinking, I'm like, yeah, it is kind of about connectivity and all this stuff. So it is it is interesting how the albums again change with time as well, in context, I guess.
Well, and fun to give artists the opportunity to look back at it, to really reflect on, because otherwise I suspect you don't.
No, it's very true. I mean, you might play the songs regularly in shows, but and so maybe how you introduce it might change a little bit over time. Certainly how you play it changes musically, and the energy you bring to it. But yeah, I don't think I think of them as a whole quite uh, differently. Um, than when I made it until someone bothers to ask. Like if someone comes up to me after a show and asks about a song or whatever, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I kind of wrote it about that, but you're right, it does kind of resonate right now. And that's been happening a lot too on the radio show when I talk to artists. Um, some of the albums that were released this year were written and recorded in pandemic. Some were written before pandemic and then recorded during the pandemic, and some were done before the pandemic and just released during the pandemic. So it's interesting to see how even ones that were written and recorded before the pandemic, everything takes on a new meaning and a new lens. And it's because we bring, as listeners, we always bring ourselves to that song as much as the artists bring to the song. So I think, we're hearing it through that, and so other people hear it through that.
It's it's almost creepy when you hear some of the songs that were written before. You're like, oh
well,
man, that's a little close to the bone. That's
Yeah, and almost in a way, maybe you couldn't have written that song if it was happening, because you're right. Sometimes things are a little too close and too new and too present to really reflect on them. And in a weird way, I think there are those songs where you're like, I don't know if I could have written that song. The songs I've written during the pandemic I don't know if they sound very pandemic-y, to be honest. I think they just sound like songs. And like I don't think you'd hear them and be like, "Oh yeah, that was definitely a pandemic song."
definitely. Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
exactly.
And I don't know, maybe that's just me, and maybe it's because I didn't want to think about it, or maybe I just don't know what to think about it yet. I'm not really sure, but yeah, it is interesting. Maybe there's something when something's really raw. Well, I mean, it's weird how, like, if you're writing about heartbreak, as many of us do, you you might have the inspiration in that moment, but I think often those songs for me end up being about something else. Like they start with that little kernel and then they change. And maybe it's because, yeah, maybe it's my own, like, I'm not ready to think about it yet. But some subconscious thing. But it is weird how what inspires a song is different from what it ends up being about. So for me.
I was gonna say when you're writing, hopefully you get the little escape of whatever's happening too. But you were talking about new material, and I think you're gonna play
Mhm.
a few new ones. Do you want to tell us anything about that?
Yeah, I mean, there's been a few songs I started playing out maybe in the summer and the fall because I did write some songs. But yeah, I'm planning not just some of the new originals, but also new covers. Just that's the nice thing about having a residency and the opportunity to play with my band regularly is that it gives us a chance to try out new stuff. And I think in the summer and fall when we were playing a lot more in front of people, but they were like, kind of one maybe shorter show or it's like and they weren't all full band, so it's like and getting together to rehearse during the pandemic, was like a little more challenging. So I think we didn't really have the opportunity to, work on a bunch of new material. But this kind of gives us time to sort of stretch our wings and work on some of those new songs and try them out in front of people. Because there's some songs too that I've maybe played once or twice, but we haven't really gotten to sink our teeth into them. So that's what I'm looking forward to doing this month is sharing some of the new songs, sharing some maybe not new originals, but new covers too. Just new stuff. That's what I'm ready. New year, new music. I think, if you're playing every week, you don't want to play the same songs every week, we have so much material, we definitely wouldn't anyway, but for our own amusement, we like to play new music.
I
Great.
was gonna say, I feel like the residency kind of gives a looser, more fun, and you can play off of your guests or your friends, whatever, like of their spunkiness or their style or whatever, which is really kind of cool. I
Yeah.
think, you never know. You could play the same set the whole time, but it would sound so much different with whoever's with you, which I find that exciting, fascinating as a listener, I guess.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, I feel like you're right. We could play the same set, and with different people playing in my band or different guests that week, it will sound completely different. And that's been one of the interesting things since the summer, playing out again. I mean, I had a lot of shows that were like duo and not full band or trio, but we did one show at the Bluegrass Festival in August out in Richmond, Minnesota, so out past St. Cloud. The biggest bluegrass festival in Minnesota, and I love going there. It was so great to be back and playing. But there were a couple of my regular band members that couldn't make it. So really, it was just Dan Gorder, my guitarist, was the only kind of current regular who was able to come. So instead, I had Brent Fuqua on mandolin, who actually will be joining me this Monday, and Eric Paulson, who was our bass player and plays with the Rowe Family Singers. And he was already up there, so he joined us too, and it was really great. We rehearsed pretty much just like maybe a couple hours before we played, like on site at the festival. But we'd all played together before, but had been a long time since we played in that combo, at least a couple years, and we had so much fun, and that show was like one of my favorite shows this summer, and I think it was because it was fresh, it was a little different, it was a different combo. I mean, guitar, mando, and bass is not an unusual combo. That's kind of a regular combo for my band, but again, the players were different, and it had been a while, so it just brought a fresh energy, and it was one of the best shows that we've done. So, and everything sounded a little different, even though it was, yeah, a similar instrumentation to a normal mother banjo show. So you're right. And both Eric and Brent will be joining me this Monday, so I'm really excited. Um, but um, but no guitar, so it will be like a different combo for the core band. So there'll be three of us doing that, and then Emily Havoc, and there might be someone else popping in. So, but that's how every week will be. It will be a different combo of players and a different guest. So I'm really excited, and yeah, I can't wait to play with these people as much as play for people because I've really missed the band.
Well, as I said, I think that that's the best thing in January in Minnesota at the residencies
Yeah. Oh,
because
I
it
know.
gives us a chance to see different people. It's
It
so
is a
much
great
fun.
and it's a great time because a lot of touring artists, I mean, even COVID aside, January is often kind of a dead month for a lot of touring artists. Don't play, like they just bypass Minnesota,
Why they
which
don't want to come to Minnesota in January?
I
What's
know,
wrong
but
with them?
although it's funny that they start coming back in February, and I was like, clearly you don't know that February is probably colder than January in Minnesota. But yeah, for whatever reason, people kind of a lot of people bypass or just don't play in Minnesota in January. So it's a great time for like local musicians to play and get to have those residencies. And yeah, who knew that like Mondays in Minnesota are so busy? But like it that's Cactus Blossoms or the Turf Club every Monday. And but that's what's fun is like you can go check out the Cactus
Yeah,
Blossoms one week and Mother Banjo another week, and there'll be great music happening everywhere. So I think it's a good thing. So but basically, if you're interested in going out, there's no reason to stay home in January.
exactly. Exactly. So remind what it's Mondays.
Mondays.
Mondays
Okay,
and what
so
time?
every Monday at 8 p.m. in January. Well, all year round because the Real Family Singers play when I'm not playing. So you want to check them out. But every Monday in January, I'll be playing with the Mother Banjo Band and special guests, 8 p.m. And then following us, Matt Arthur. So again, great
Nice.
music all night. And then the last Monday of the month, you can also check out come early and come to the Women Folk concert series. And the last Friday of January, Annie Mac will be playing. So that starts at 6. So basically, every Monday at 8, great free music at the 331 Club, folk, roots, Americana. And then the last Monday, you can come a little early at 6 and check out Annie Mac. And if you haven't seen Annie Mac, I mean,
Formidable.
yeah,
Yeah.
one of my all-time favorites. Just so she'll be playing with Mary Cutcherfellow joining her. So I mean, it's gonna be a woman-packed evening of music. So it's gonna be really great. I'm really excited about
Nice.
that.
Nice. We are looking forward to it. Just the last note, where can people find you online?
Good question. Motherbanjo.com. They can find out all the dates and info and videos and music and store. They can buy the Mother Banjo flasks, the cocktail recipe books. If you are
Nice.
staying at home and live streaming the shows, you can make your own cocktails and enjoy your fun at home. And then also I'm on all the social medias as well with all my hats, so you can find me.
Lots of different
Find me
ways.
too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for bringing in the new year with us this
Thank
morning.
you, and
Great
Happy
to
New
see-
Year. Great to see your faces. And Heather, I look forward to seeing you around the neighborhood. I know you live right in my neighborhood. I'm waiting to bump into
Yeah.
you on the sidewalk or shoveling one of these days. So
I have not gotten out as much,
I
but
know I haven't
yes,
as much. I know it's been a
I
little
know.
chilly, but and then and Anna, great to see you at the 331. So hopefully I'll see you all in person or online soon. And I really
Soon.
appreciate what you're doing.
Thanks.